And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from Girls of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling, and this is part two of Do Women Have Agency? I spoke about a lot of different things in the last episode, so let's see if we can try and understand this topic a little bit more. Let's first start with the uh, the sentence that I said yesterday was that women are not able to not care, which means that no matter what happens, there is a gene in their brain, or their brain is connected in such a way because of their reproductive cycle, because of the way that they've been designed from the get-go. They're different than men in this regard, very different. And it's the fact that uh, they have to care. This is how they're built up. They have to care no matter what happens throughout life, no matter how feminine they are, no matter how masculine they are. They care. But the more masculine they are, the more they only care about themselves, because of survival mode and growth mode. I'm explaining this as we go. Survival mode is when a woman is trying to survive, like she's basically at her max capacity. She's disciplining herself, she's focused, she's trying to do everything that she needs to get done. She's a superwoman, and her health, because of it, deteriorates. A woman was not designed to be disciplined all of the time and to focus all of the time and to do everything that men were designed to do. Women were designed to relax, to enjoy, to nurture, and to be nurtured, to be pampered, to experience nature, to have fun. She wasn't designed to go to work. Women weren't designed for that. Women were designed to simply enjoy life. That's what they were supposed to do. Women enjoy the now, and then men make that now better exponentially. Men have that capacity to take on rejection, to take on failure, to take on discipline and focus, because that makes them more masculine. And men are designed in such a way as to enjoy that process. Okay? So that's the big difference, is that women care, but the more feminine they are, the more they care about others. So understand that point, is the more feminine a woman is, or a child is, because children are all feminine, okay? From 0 to 9 years old, children are feminine in a sense that they care about their emotions. Like, their emotions are happening to them. So if someone obviously is mean to them, or is disciplining them, or causing, disheartening uh, environments, then obviously they're going to feel bad about the other person, right? So they're going to be small fighting, whatever, whatever happens between kids. But as long as a child is in the right, correct environment, that child is going to be happy. That child is going to be loving, is going to be kind. It's going to think about, oh, what's wrong with that person? I wonder if they need my help, blah, blah, blah. This is why, religious leaders has continuously talked about, become like a child, become like children, because they're amazing and they care about the other people. Okay? And when the scriptures, or when the religious texts are talking about that, they basically are talking to men, because men are indifferent, they're neutral. Femininity, or women and children and boys when they're kids, okay, they care. They care automatically. But when they're emotionally fulfilled, they care about others, because they have capacity to care about others, because they're in growth mode. Okay, growth mode means that they're healthy, they're happy, they've got capacity, they're playing, they're laughing, they're giggling. And if someone is left out, then they'll care about that person that's left out. And if they don't care, maybe it's because they're beginning to become boys. They're beginning to become men. They're beginning to develop testosterone. Okay, because that happens around the age of 8, 9, 10 years old. Even though men are not able to create sperm production as the level as they are able to, at their proper puberty. This process starts around 8, 9, 10 years old, where boys begin to become a little bit more indifferent and also a little bit more interested in girls than they were in the past. Okay, so that's their testosterone developing. But women, children, and boys before the age of 8, they're not responsible. They're not accountable for things that they do wrong, because it's their environment and the emotions that are happening to them that dictates basically how much they care about other people. And men, on the other hand, once we've developed testosterone, we actually have the ability to choose the response time between something happens to us and us responding to it. And we have the ability to to develop the reaction time, okay, or the response time, because we're able to observe our thoughts and basically make a decision: should I respond to this, and how should I respond to this at all? So there's an indifference thing that's going on here that is a curse and it's a blessing. Just the way that women care and will care for the rest of their lives because that's their design, their um, men have that ability to be indifferent. And it's a blessing when men use it in order for them to prioritize things to do, because they're not continuously in crisis mode in their brains. This is why, like, the most amazing masculine men are able to be so productive in their lives, because they don't have like, everything is in order in their lives, and they're indifferent about everything else because they have the ability to focus. They have the ability to be disciplined. They don't think about anything else. If you've noticed, men who are masculine are just on a different level than other guys because they can focus on one thing at a time, and that's the only thing they focus on. The more masculine they are, the more they're able to focus and be completely indifferent to whatever else is going on. And that's why very often men neglect other things that are happening in their lives if it's not important to them. If it's not important to them, they will leave it by the wayside and they'll only focus on the thing that is important to them and understand what's important to them. For men, what's important is winning. And women, that's it. It's the two W's. They want to win and they want to have women. And they want to have the best possible women and they want to have the best possible wins according to their circumstance. You're seeing men become more and more feminine these days, meaning that they don't want to have battle with other people face to face very often. The more feminine they are, the more fearful they are, the more they're backing off, the more they don't want to be around people, and they end up basically playing computer games all day. Why do you think that is? It's because it's their only win in life. They play these computer games and they're like, yes, I won, when they should be outside competing against other men in order for them to increase their salaries, increase their businesses, increase basically getting a bunch of failures and competing in the marketplace. The survival of the fittest, it is designed in men. And it should be encouraged. Survival of the fittest for men is fantastic because it makes them better. So if women desire men to be men and to be masculine men, we have to allow boys to be boys, and for them to compete against each other, to fight against each other, and fighting in the sense of, we're buddies, but we're fighting because we want to figure out who is the alpha male in the group. We want, this is inherent in men to compete against each other. And these days, it's not really violence that's the thing anymore. It's money. And it's doing business and competing against each other in terms of who makes the most money, in terms of who does this better, etc., etc. This is fantastic. It's awesome. But unfortunately, women do this more and more because they're trying to struggle in life without men's help. They're trying to struggle in life without motivating men at all. Like, They try to motivate men enough for them to have a man with them, but they want to compete against men in the marketplace, which is a really, really bad idea. It's not women's fault, it's men's fault for not taking responsibility and not being motivated to take it to the next level. They could be indifferent to their circumstance and to their environment, but if they're ignorant about what's going on in society, if they're ignorant about understanding the woman, then they'll basically, keep doing what they're doing and not care about the woman, and they'll sleep around with them and neglect them and move on because they have the ability to be indifferent. So you want men to be indifferent, but you don't want feminine men, a hybrid of masculinity and femininity, because that's very, very dangerous. So from a societal standpoint, if you look at men and you see them becoming like they're moving towards masculinity, 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 fantastic. And then they'll have 5% of their being, being feminine because of caring. Okay, if you're 100% masculine, you won't be caring about anything or anyone basically except yourself. But what's beautiful about the universe is that it's designed in such a way that the more you're selfish in terms of making money, in terms of getting the best women, as long as you do it with honesty, integrity, and caring, having caring as a fundamental part of life, you won't only think about yourself, and thereby it will be a positive thing for everyone around the world. The problem comes when men are massively masculine to the point where they don't care about anyone else or anything else except for themselves and not caring about other people at all. Men have the ability to do that, and that's dangerous. That's how you get Hitlers. That's how you get, Stalins. That's how you get all these horrible people that have lived throughout the world who've been very masculine. They've been like warlords, okay? And they haven't cared about having to kill people because we need to achieve our ends. Do you understand? Like, that's bad. That's horrific. That's impending upon other people's freedoms to a level where it's destructive for human nature. It's destructive for people, and millions of people are dying as a result of them being massively, neglected as children. And because they were neglected, they grew up too fast. And they saw all the hardships and all the horrible things that were going on in the world, and then they got beliefs about how the world is supposed to be, and then they basically ran over people in order for them to achieve their purposes, which they believed maybe was the best thing for humanity. Very often, evil people believe that the thing that they're doing is the best thing for humanity because we're forcing our way to utopia. Doesn't work like that. Femininity is in the now, which means that, I can't change society without violence. I can't change society without, making a stance for through violence and war and using guns in order to achieve my purposes. That's dangerous. Do you see the difference? Do you see what happens to boys, right? If they don't have a nurturing, caring mother, if they are raised by the government in school. Now, most times teachers are nice. Other times teachers are not nice, right? Some kids fall off by the wayside growing up. Those are the problematic children that become the adult men who create huge societal repercussions once they grow up. Mothers have the most important job in the world. And the fact is, when mothers are able to be in their nurturing feminine side, they actually enjoy taking care of young kids. It's insane. I know they love babies and they love 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, as long as those children are not neglected and they're not too much for her. Very often, children are simply too much for women, and basically, women have discovered that, oh man, it's too much and I'm too lonely at home, and that's why I'm not I don't want to have kids, okay? And if I have kids, I'm going to have very few, and I'm going to put them in government care, and then I'm going to go and have a job because that's the safest thing, because I don't want to be left behind by my husband. I don't want to be left behind by the Joneses. I don't want to be left behind. That's kind of how women do things. They either follow their lover according to his belief system, or they follow the masses. But the moment their lover follows the masses, she simply will follow the masses, and she'll be a feminist. That's how it works. But if her man or her father, okay, like helped her to be an environment of being unburdened, being feminine, then she will actually think rationally about how things work and not force things through because she's a now creature. Femininity is force. Femininity is using violence. Very often, women will not use violence, however, simply because they're afraid of the societal repercussions, not long term, but they're afraid of their social status if they were to have violence right now in the now. So very often what women do when they're very burdened, maybe they will fight. Sometimes they do turn to violence and use violence. But very often they internalize the violence instead inside their brains, inside their self-talk, inside of their self-worth. I'm a horrible person because I have these thoughts about killing other people and hurting other people, and I don't know what to do with myself. I'm a horrible person. You're not a horrible person. You're a woman, and you're burdened. You're put in you've been put in this environment, this bad environment from the get-go, of a difficult childhood, parents who didn't understand what to do, parents who burdened you from an early age, parents who had too many kids, and because of that you were neglected or you were put on too much responsibility, and that caused you to grow up becoming masculine. Understand that that's not your nature, and it's not your fault. It's never women's fault. It is men's fault for having created that environment, and for your childhood, but also creating your environment once you become sexually interested. Because once you become sexually interested, you want to have sex, and you will find a guy that you're interested in, that that really tingles your fancy, and then you'll follow him, right? That's when you rebel against your father very often, because he can't give me what I need, obviously. And do you understand? Like, this is the man, the father is the provider for such a long time, but once she develops sexual interests, she has to move on, and she moves on to try and find a guy who is able to protect and provide, and basically the most masculine guy that she can find according to what she can get, right? Because she doesn't want to be rejected, so she doesn't initiate conversations unless she's very masculine with the guy who she wants. All right. So whenever any guy comes and shows interest, she's like, oh, interesting. Someone is interested in me. This is how women function. I know I'm generalizing. I'm not going to be correct on everything, but I'm correct on most of the things, okay? Because studying women for years and understanding the case studies and hearing case study upon case study upon case study about how women think, we understand now. We understand female nature. And I know for a fact that women don't have the ability to not care, and therefore don't have the ability to have, basically, um to choose what they do in the now. Okay, that's basically what it's about. They're now creatures, and they will be dictated by their emotions. Their emotions will tell them what to do. So, for example, well, if a woman doesn't have choice, don't have free agency, then how is she able to do this, and this, and this, and this? And it may sometimes even becoming a billionaire. There are women who become billionaires. It's because they've attached emotion to something. They've attached emotion to either fame, riches. They've attached emotion to not being left behind. And that's the emotion that drives their productivity and their desire to be rejected and their desire to move on and be disciplined and focused, but it's killing them. Understand, women can become more of a man, obviously, right? If you're zero masculine, no, that never happens with women. They always have 5% masculinity. But if they basically look at the world and I want to become successful, and then they try to do the same things that men are doing, they will increase the percentage of their masculinity. They will increase their testosterone, and their hormones are going to get out of whack as a result, right? Women who establish businesses and try to succeed in school at the expense of everything else that they love in their femininity. And like, I can't do this now. I have a passion for it, but I got to become successful. I got to fend for myself. I got to provide for myself and protect myself. The more they increase their percentage in masculinity, the more they will get masculine features, which will kill their health over time. Like, this is what happens. Like, you increase to 10% masculinity, 15%, 20%, 50% masculinity. That's going to take a massive toll on your health. And I'll explain why. Most of the time, the reason why you are ruining your health and ruining your basically your life by becoming more masculine is because you will always be pulled back towards your femininity. You'll always be pulled back to your femininity as a woman, which means that you'll always, I just need to be in the now. I just need to be feminine. You're not saying feminine to yourself, but this is what's going on in your brain and in your body. I want to be feminine. I want to be in the now. And what is it that brings you in the now? Think about it. What is it that brings you in the now? If you're heavily burdened, heavily masculine, have tons of responsibilities, always in the fight or flight mode, what brings you back to the now? Immediately. Since you're a now creature, right? You're a now creature. What is it that brings you back to the now? Alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, over-the-counter drugs, right? Anything, sex, casual sexual relationships, especially, because that helps you to be in the now, because it's new, it's exciting, it's a new guy, it's a stranger, blah, 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 blah. All of these things, okay, there's obviously more to the list, okay, eating, sugar, all of those things are designed by nature to kill you over time. The more you take of these substances, the more you're exponentially killing yourself. And femininity is life. Femininity is health for you. For men, masculinity is life. Masculinity is health for men. But the more women become masculine, the more they die inside. If you're masculine, you actually know what I'm talking about, but you probably have exited this video a long time ago, so you won't get this message. I'm sad for you. I'm really sad, because women have no idea the bubbliness, the happiness, the laughter, the bliss of being a woman, of being feminine. That's where their potential lies. And it's not something that you struggle and fight for and discipline and focus to be feminine. That doesn't work that way, because the more you focus, the more you're disciplined, the more you're basically trying to become a man, the more you'll become a man. You won't become a woman by being disciplined about being feminine. Do you see my drift here? With the stimulants. That's why I talk about stimulants on this channel. This is bad for you. Stay away from stimulants, all stimulants. Whenever you take alcohol, in order for you to become just as drunk as you were last time, this happens over time, right? There's an exponential growth curve. In order for you to get in the now, the same way that you did last time, or the 10 times before, or that time when you were really excited, the more alcohol you need. The more alcohol you put in your body, the more you're killing your organs. Your organs is your body. Without your organs, your body sucks. and your body declines and you get old and you get wrinkles and you get everything that you were designed not to get that early. Why does J-Lo look like she does? She doesn't use substances, from what I know, right? Obviously, she's very masculine in other aspects of life, and she has a lot of money to, hire the best experts on how to stay young, blah, blah, blah. But do you understand that femininity does that naturally? If you allow your body to heal itself because of you're happy, you're positive, you're excited, you're in the now continuously all of the time. That's when your body works optimally. And this is the way it's supposed to be. In many ways, can women get agency? Like, can they be disciplined and focused over time? Yes, but they'll always return back to their femininity and destroy their capacity to be masculine, right? They want to be masculine, but then they go back to their femininity and destroy their ability to be masculine, and they still have the reproductive cycle. They can never compete with men. They can compete with men that are feminine, men that don't care and basically drink away their lives and use a bunch of drugs and don't care about anyone else except for exponentially going towards the decline, right? It's easy to compete against those guys. Who cares about those guys? Who cares? I care. I care about everyone. But do you understand what I'm saying here is that masculine men, you as a woman will never be able to compete against masculine men. If there was a food shortage, this was from I think it was Georgia Free. I think that's what her name is on YouTube. Anyway, she said one time that uh, in the case of a food shortage, and in case of a riot, and there's no ability to get food anywhere, the financial collapse has happened, and there's no monetary solution, and you can't get food unless you barter and unless you get it from someone else. Like, do you want to be fighting against a masculine man or a man in general in that type of circumstance? No, you don't. It's very bad for women to be in that circumstance and be masculine at that point in time. How do you most easily get what you need in the terms of crisis? By being feminine, by being beautiful. That's the only thing that masculine men that are superior on the chain of command will care about. If they know that you're beautiful, you're hot, and you've got exactly what it is that they want, they will protect you and provide for you. That's how nature was designed. And they will take care of you because you're beautiful. They don't want to harm someone that's beautiful, but they don't care about anyone who's ugly. Understand that. Okay? That's how it works. That's how it's been designed. It's horrific, right? But if we're in survival mode, if everyone is in survival mode, then that's what's going to happen. So in terms of the best possible survival strategy for you as a woman is to allow yourself to not work towards becoming masculine and remaining in your femininity. If you remain in your femininity, I can promise you there will be men who will line up, and then the best guy will get you. And you get to choose the best guy. That's what's fun if you're feminine. But if you're masculine, you'll probably end up single with cats. That it's a cliche, but that is what happens. It's all about the hormones. And understand that we want women to remain in the now, to be excited, to be bubbly, to basically be put in an environment and not put in an environment, okay? Like in that environment that you get, okay, it's a huge, massive environment. As long as you don't go beyond there, because then you will lose everything that you've got, right? And usually that thing out there is sleeping with another man, sleeping with the guy that is not your guy. The moment you do that, men are designed to shut their curtains unless they're feminine. If they're feminine, they're going to be like, oh, I need her, and I can't live without her, and please don't leave me. And they're okay with sharing you. That's disgusting. A masculine man will never want to share you. And the moment you do that, now understand that it's still his fault. He still created that, but he's still designed in such a way as to not want you ever again because you cheated. I've experienced it myself, and it wasn't even sleeping around. I had a girlfriend, and she did things with another friend of mine, and I felt completely, you know, that was not right at all. And I could never ever trust her again, even though she wanted me back for years. And I was like, nah, nah. Like for me now, she was low value, and she was not the woman that I wanted to be ever again. Like I didn't want to be with her ever again. She was pretty, but it didn't happen because she took that step beyond that. But it wasn't her fault for doing that. I was the one who was feminine. If I had been masculine and knew exactly what I was doing, I understood female nature, blah, 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 then I would have known how to beat my friend. Like it would have been easy. And I would have known how to retain her. But because I was in my femininity, I didn't know. So do you understand how this works? As long as women stay within the boundaries, the big things are the only things that matter. Men don't really care about the small things if she stays within the big things, which means that we say that women don't have agency and they're not able to not care, but if they can stay within here, we're indifferent to whatever she does in there, which means that she has a bunch of choices, right? So she ends up having agency after all. She ends up being free. She doesn't have agency because she cannot control herself, but that's really where we want women to be, right? Freedom in terms of emotional expression. That's what women want, really. They don't want to stifle their emotions. They don't want to stifle what's going on. And that's the beauty of life. That's the beauty of nature, is that there's actually a system where women are allowed to be themselves. They're allowed to express all of their emotions, everything. And because they're unburdened, because they're feminine, they don't have any evil thoughts ever. I'll end with that thought. Women are naturally good. Naturally good, meaning that if you put a woman in the correct environment, the correct society, and I really want to confirm my thesis one day with thousands of case studies. You put the woman in the right environment, she won't think an evil thought. Okay? Now, she might for a period of time because she doesn't trust, right? She's been screwed over so many times in her life, maybe. She's heavily masculine. And maybe she doesn't even want to return to femininity, but you put her in the right environment and allow, kind of like a glass. I've explained this before. It's a glass of water and it's poisonous. The only way to purify that water is by putting new, fresh, pure water in that cup so that everything can become diluted, and over time that glass will become pure. In the same way, if women are in an environment where there's only purity, where there's only good stuff, she will always be good. And that's why, and that's a good thing. It's almost and it happens naturally. And that's how we know that women, even though they're now creatures, can be eternally good and exponentially good, because the more they care about other people, the more the universe brings them the good stuff. Right? The more masculine a woman becomes, the more difficult she is to be around, right? The more sucky it is to have a relationship with her, not only as a man, but also as other women. Masculine women have masculine friends, and that's why they don't have very many friends, because they're the only ones that can tackle each other, and they have catfights all the time, and they're upset with each other, and it becomes a draining experience to be in a relationship, friend or love relationship, with the masculine woman. It's horrific. But a feminine woman who is malleable and she doesn't have to be in front and leading all the time, and she can simply go along and, yes, let's do that, I'm excited, and she's flexible, submissive. Even though that's a taboo word, it doesn't matter because that's feminine nature. If she's allowed to be in that kind of environment, she'll naturally be good, and she'll always be happy. That's the point. Happiness can be attained, and it can be consistent if a woman is in the right environment. She's completely unburdened because she will run towards responsibility and taking just the right amount of responsibility in order for her to still be in happiness scale of 1 to 10 at a 10. Since she's naturally good, she's going to be a 10 all of the time because she knows what her limits are. The more feminine a woman becomes, the more rational she becomes in terms of understanding what's going on in nature, understanding the future, understanding the past, because she's unburdened enough to think about it. If a woman is completely burdened, her wires are going all over the place all of the time, and she can never relax. And that's why she can't sleep. That's why she gets chronic fatigue disorder. That's why she gets blah, 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 blah. Women, understand nature. Nature wants to bring you back to femininity, and it will naturally do when you let go. But you can't choose that. You have to choose an environment that allows you to let go without neglect causing more issues and more difficulties. So you have to be masculine enough to be disciplined to achieve, to have a job and to do this and that and the other, until you find a man who desires 3 girls in love, responsible polygyny, helping you to be in that environment of being nurtured, which automatically causes you to nurture them. And you are never blamed. And because you're never blamed, you can actually be in harmony with the other 2. Beautiful system. The only system, in my opinion, that works. Monogamy sucks. Monogamy's a bitch. And then you die. And that's a problem for women. And if it's a problem for women, it's a problem for kids. And if we create problems for kids, then we'll see what happens the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, unless we change the status quo by helping men to be motivated by beauty and femininity, which is what we're motivated by, to basically get all the resources that we want for luxurious living. There's nothing wrong with luxurious living as long as it's sustainable. And if the man cares about other people, it is sustainable because he's creating win-win situations, and that creates more wealth, and we're increasing the pie, right? People think that there's not enough resources and there's only a limited amount of wealth that can be given around. And because of that, the rich people are evil and blah, blah, blah. Not so. Rich people understand that the cake actually expands the more people grow and become rich. And if the cake expands, everyone benefits, including the poor. And if they do that, the world becomes a better place, and women are able to be in their femininity constantly, which allows kids to remain in their femininity in their youth because they're continuously loved and appreciated and focused on, homeschooled. They don't have to be put in government care and can enjoy their mothers with an S, okay? Plural, because that's what children need. This is the Girls of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I'll see you in the next one.